You're looking to buy a property, but you don't know, should I go to my bank and get a mortgage there, or should I talk to an independent mortgage broker? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you the pros and cons of both, and hopefully that will let you make a better decision when you're looking to buy real estate, specifically if it's in my marketplace of Surrey, BC, or the Fraser Valley. But really quick first, if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have more of you here seeing these videos and getting a whole bunch of good information about real estate. And if you wouldn't mind just really quickly going down below and clicking on that like button, that really helps me get this information out to more people that are trying to decide, should I go to my bank or should I talk to a broker? And if you've already got your mortgage sorted out and you want to discuss real estate with me, or you need personalized advice, just go down in the description to the link and you will be magically transported right into my calendar for a quick 15-minute call in order to see what we can do for you. So thanks so much for doing that, and now on with the video. So the first thing I hear most often than not is, Steve, we're all pre-approved. We went to our bank. Well, why is it that we use our bank? Well, in reality, you've already got a relationship with your bank. Your paycheck probably goes in there. It's where you go to do all of your financial transactions. That also makes the process of getting pre-approved easier because your bank likely has full visibility to see when your paychecks are coming in. So income verification is not as difficult. And as I said, you've already got a relationship there, and with that relationship probably comes a comfort level. It's just easy to keep going back to the same people that you see in the branch whenever you're doing your banking. Well, if it's that easy, why do we even have independent mortgage brokers if you can just go to your bank? Well, the reality is brokers will have more options for you, all sorts of different products and rates from different types of lenders. And those products could have different specific benefits for you that your bank may not be willing to do. But switching back to the banks really quickly, what are the positives that come from working with your bank? Well, it kind of depends on which bank you are with. My experience shows me that there are certain banks out there that will treat their clients better than other clients, particularly two banks, the Royal Bank of Canada, RBC, and Bank of Montreal, BMO. They do tend to really treat their current clients better, obviously, particularly if you're in very good financial standing and have investments at the bank. Sometimes they will even go the extra mile because you already have that relationship. But there are some other banks, thinking particularly, unfortunately, of TD and Scotiabank, that go with a slightly different business model. I find that if you're dealing with Scotiabank or TD, you may actually get better service and a better product if you're not already a customer of that bank. I kind of think of it like those mobility companies, right? You ever get on the phone with one of them and you're a brand new client and they pick up the phone right away, but as soon as you have a problem with your current plan, you're on hold for 35 minutes or longer
with unusually long call volumes.
Well, some banks actually have the same model. There are some banks that treat their current clients better, and there are some banks that only want the new business or treat the new business better. So that can be a downside. Another cool thing about most banks, though, is you can walk into a bank and just talk to somebody. You don't have to necessarily set up an appointment. There's probably somebody there that can deal with you at the time and start the process. But now let's switch back and talk about the positives dealing with a broker. A broker can actually shop you around to multiple different lenders. If interest rate is most important for you, or prepayment penalties are the biggest, most important factor, well, they can take you to a mortgage lender or an institution that is maybe not one of the big five banks, and they can give you different products based on what your needs are. Another positive is that mortgage brokers are only doing mortgages. When you go into a bank, the person dealing with your mortgage might be doing a personal line of credit for somebody else, a car loan, and your mortgage. A mortgage broker is only specifically going to be doing things like mortgages and home equity line of credit. So those are the things that they specialize in. So you're likely going to get a little bit better advice. And the next positive that I really, really like about working with mortgage brokers is, much like myself, they don't get paid until you're happy. They are 100% on commission. So if you don't sign on the dotted line, they don't get paid. paid. So likely they're going to work a little bit harder for you, as opposed to if you go into the bank, that person may be being paid on salary. So if they process your document or your application in a timely manner, it doesn't matter to them because they're getting paid the same rate. Now let's switch back to the banks and talk about a couple of the downsides. Usually a bank will only have one suite of products, meaning they may have a variable and a 5-year fixed and a 4-year fixed, but they're only going to have one set of rates. And if you want something different, there's a very good chance that your bank may not offer it. Bank hours can be a problem. If you're dealing with somebody at the branch, depending on your bank, TD is very, very good for staying open late. But if you're dealing with a branch that closes at 5 o'clock, well, you have to take off time off of work now just to get your mortgage approved. And what about if the person you're dealing with wants to take a day off? Well, you may not get the response because that person has a weekend in the middle of the week or on the weekend. So you have to ask the person, if you're going into a bank, are they available at all hours for when you're actually going to be writing an offer, because you will need to be in contact with them. And time again, people don't believe me on this one. They go into their own bank, they go to get a mortgage, and they will actually lose their dream home because the financing is not approved in a timely manner. And that brings me to my last point, which is response time. Often a lot of these banks, and specifically credit unions, if you're going to a credit union, they want 10 or more days in order to get a full approval on your mortgage. Well, in today's market, you're lucky to get a financing condition at all. So if you do have a financing condition for 3 or 4 days, it's imperative that your institution can get that approval done in the right amount of time. But what's the downside then to a broker if we're trying to keep this argument even? Well, unfortunately, because they don't work at your bank, getting a pre-approval from them might be a little bit harder, specifically because you have to provide them with all of the paperwork again. Now, you're going to have to provide your bank with a bunch of paperwork, but if the proof of down payment or the income coming in every 2 weeks is already at your bank, that makes dealing with the bank easier. Also, you may not have a prior relationship with this person, so you have to build that trust from the beginning. And you may already have trust in your bank, so that's why a lot of people go in that direction. And probably the biggest downside to using a broker is not all institutions use what we call the broker channel. Specifically, a couple that I can think of being BMO and RBC, they employ their own mortgage brokers that are mobile. And if you go to an independent broker, you can't get an RBC or a BMO mortgage. So if you specifically want a product that they have, you have to go internal to one of their own employees. So you may not have access to every institution, although with a broker, you're going to have access to many more institutions. Most major banks, and I guess any financial institutions, a lot of them have their own mortgage specialists. So you may have a mortgage broker that works for a bank, but they're not independent, so they can't take you outside, but they're still getting paid on commission and they're available after hours. So they can kind of be a mix in between, or the best of both worlds. So my recommendation is always to speak with your bank and get an opinion, and then speak with an independent mortgage broker. But if you are going to use your bank, my suggestion is don't use the person at the branch. Ask to get in touch with a mortgage specialist that works outside of the branch so you can get their cell number and get a hold of them in evenings, weekends, or whenever you might be actually writing an offer. If you get an opinion from a bank or a mortgage specialist at a bank and an independent broker, you've likely got the best possible information in order to put your transaction together. And that's what this YouTube channel is all about, making sure you have the right information so you can proceed and grow your wealth through real estate. There you go, banker, broker. I'd love you to comment down below and tell me which one you used and if you were happy with their service. Please remember to subscribe, click the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and we'll see you again in a couple of days with another video.